Young and the Restless spoilers. Sharon Newman's stalker revealed. Awful blast from past video. Hey there CBS soap opera fans, this is Soap Dirt on YouTube, and we want to talk about the brand new front burner Sharon Newman storyline that's coming soon. It is about her getting a stalker, it's someone from her past, and we want to talk about Sharon's stalker revealed and what horrifying person from her Young and the Restless history has come back to haunt her right now. Sharon Newman is getting this front burner storyline on Y&R. It starts with a gift. Then, it culminates in a stalker and could be what finally reunites her with Nick Newman. It seems Nick is neck-deep in this plot as well, according to official Y&R spoilers. Now we have two different theories of who this person from her past could be that's back to haunt her, but one is much more plausible than the other, but we're going to discuss both to be thorough. First, we're going to talk about the one that's slightly less plausible, but that would be great to see happen. Let's talk about whether Matt Clark could be Sharon's past back to haunt her. Right away, we're going to acknowledge that Matt is supposedly dead, but with soap operas, dead is not always a permanent condition. Remember, they just resurrected Diane Jenkins and rewrote Young and the Restless history to make it work. She had been dead, supposedly, for decades. So could they do the same thing in the case of Matt Clark? And do you remember Matt? Back in 1994 to 1996, Eddie Cibrian originated the role. But at the time of Matt Clark's supposed death, Rick Hurst was in the role. That was in 2000 to 2001. So we first met Matt as a schoolmate of Nick and Sharon's from Genoa City High School. He was a real creep who raped Sharon among several other victims, and he also framed Nick for many crimes. Back in the day, he was Nick's chief rival in high school, and he assaulted both Sharon and her best friend on Y&R. Matt Clark also revealed to everyone that Sharon Newman wasn't a virgin because her former high school boyfriend had gotten her pregnant at 16. Of course, initially, that baby turned out to be Cassie Newman, but years later, we found out that Maria Copeland was Cassie's twin. However, you may recall, they were never twins on the show at the same time. Cameron Grimes played Cassie when she was very young, up until the time of her death. And then they brought Cameron back to play grown twin Maria Copeland, so the twins were never seen together as children. Back in the day, Matt Clark exited after he was shot, and set up Nick for the crime, but it turned out it was another of his victims who had shot him. That was when Eddie Cibrian left the role. Then, he came back in 2000 with a new face credited to plastic surgery. Rick Hurst took over the role and started using the name Carter Mills so he could creep around on the down low on Young and the Restless. But it eventually came out that it was really Matt Clark. From the start, he was back to old shenanigans. He framed Nick for selling drugs and tried to assault Sharon again. Then he died after a catastrophic car crash. Matt was in the hospital on a ventilator and had these horrific injuries. Then, he pulled out his breathing tube to frame Nick Newman. But they could certainly redo this and say that Matt Clark survived and is back for revenge. However, we think that the other option for who might be Sharon Newman's stalker is more likely. Let's dig into option number 2. So, let's talk a little bit about Sharon Newman's worst nightmare. The man's name was Cameron Kirsten. He wasn't on Young and the Restless for too long. That was from November 2003 to August 2004. But Cameron was memorable. Scary but memorable. So what got us thinking that this blast from Sharon's past might be Cameron Kirsten is because he was played by actor Lyndon Ashby. And Lyndon Ashby is the real-life husband of Diane Jenkins' actress, Susan Walters. So it makes sense they might choose him for a storyline, to make his wife happy so she gets to see him at work. And Lyndon Ashby walked the red carpet with Susan Walters at Y&R's 50th anniversary. It's not that unusual for a spouse to walk with you, but it's just maybe one more sign that they've brought him back. In addition, the red carpet photos for that event had several of Lyndon Ashby alone. It's just these little things that all point to maybe it's Lyndon coming back as Cameron Kirsten, because he aligns with what we've heard from this May Sweep storyline. He came to Genoa City to cut a deal at Newman Enterprises and ran into Sharon, and he knew her already. He upset her by threatening to reveal something that happened in Denver. The reason Sharon went to Denver was that she kissed Victor Newman while dating Nick Newman, and she ran away from Genoa City, heading to Denver. She met Cameron in a bar and slept with him. Then, she was horrified to discover that he was this violent man. She was really upset about kissing Victor Newman, and then she didn't want Nick to know that she kissed his dad or slept with Cameron. And this creep kept threatening to tell Nick. When Cameron kept threatening her, she finally agreed to meet him at this no-tell motel. But once she met him there, Sharon said she wouldn't sleep with him, and he just went berserk. So Sharon fought back and smashed Cameron Kirsten in the head with a champagne bottle. She assumed he was dead and managed to shove his corpse into a dumpster, and she took off. But of course, he wasn't dead. And actor Lyndon Ashby kept playing the role, and he showed up haunting and gaslighting Sharon, who thought she was seeing Cameron's ghost on Young and the Restless. He later turned back up alive and acted like none of it had happened. But even worse in the meantime, he'd killed Frank Barrett, who was Sharon's first high school boyfriend, and who was the father of Cassie and Mariah. But Cameron denied everything she said about him. And Sharon was then facing a murder rap. And she agreed to let Cameron Kirsten fly her out of the country. Thanks for watching this video. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel and stay with us.